Welcome to Dad's DeFi Space. You have made it to our Saturday live stream, and now is the time that we can cut through all the noise, get to what's real in the crypto and DeFi space, and I want to help you build conviction in this bull run. So if you're new here, my name is Kevin. I'm a teacher, I'm a father, and I'm a DeFi investor and leverage trader who shares exactly what I'm doing with my own portfolio in this market, all the wins, all my risk, the mistakes, and all the lessons I've learned along the way. So if you enjoy real and truthful content, please like and subscribe and ping that notification bell and share this video with those out there who would appreciate today's stream. So today's stream is action-packed, and we're going to be talking about whether Bitcoin has already topped, or is this a local top, or is the blow-off top about to happen? Is it still ahead? None of us truly know, but we can take a look at the market and the charts and make our decisions based off of probabilities. So in the next little bit, we're going to be talking about, one second, and let me send this out so we can make sure everyone knows about the stream today. Awesome. All right, so we are going to look at my latest Crystal Vault strategies, and I have a new kind of degen altcoin play that I think is going to print some Ethereum for me. And we also are going to look at AVNT and Aster, new competitors to Hyperliquid, the darling of this market cycle in the altcoin space. And I want to break down on how to navigate some general rules as far as leverage trading or just spot trading in the crypto space, so you can do it safely and not get wrecked this cycle. So grab a coffee, or if you're watching later, maybe something else to drink, and drop a hello in the chat. Let me know if you want to look at any charts, which we'll be looking at in just a minute. And a special shout out to everyone in my free Telegram group and website members, and all of the few since we just started, new subs on Rumble, and of course all you all out in YouTube land. So last week on X, I asked if the local top was in, okay? And what we got was actually a few private messages of people who had a lot of differing opinions about what is to come as we head towards the end of the market cycle. Some say yes, and some think there'll be a cool off before a blow off top. Although I think the ones who are in the cool off camp are few and far between, at least right now. So taking
a look. Hold on one second. What I wanted to talk about first is to take a look at Bitcoin market cycles. So what you're looking at right now is Bitcoin's entire life. And what I've marked out on this chart are the green zones, which are the Bitcoin bull markets, and the red zone, which is Bitcoin bear markets. As you can see, Bitcoin usually has a parabolic run over a 2.5 year, 3 year period. And then we have 1 year down. That is usually the bear market, about 1 year to 1.5 years. As you can see, we had a bear market in 2015, 2019, and throughout 2022. Now, this is an older chart. Right now, we're sitting right at about 115,005, right around here. I'll have to take a look at the charts in just a minute because I don't remember the exact price. But point being is we're heading into the blow off top when we're about 3/4 of the way through the bull market, which is the green zone, right? And if you look here, what did it last? It lasted from 2020 around the beginning of 2020 to the end of the fall of 2021. What's interesting here is we are rounding into the last little part here, right, in 2025. So there shouldn't be a lot of time left in the market cycle if you still ascribe to this 4-year cycle, and not everybody does. But for me, I subscribe to the 4-year cycle until this is proven wrong. And we're just going to kind of have to wait and see. And, oh, I forgot to show you the chart. Hold on one second. There we go. Bitcoin cycle theory. As I was saying, you can look at the chart here. The red zones are the bear markets. The green zones, again, are the bull markets. And if you look at the time we've been in the bull market, each one actually has been a slightly different length of time, but not by much, right? This one was, we don't really count the first cycle, but the second cycle was 658 days in the bull. This one was 644 days, which was the 2019 to 2021, which was our first cycle. And then 2022 to 2025, which, from the bear to where we were when I made this PowerPoint, it was 651 days. Now we are at a point where this cycle could possibly have only months left. So this becomes some of the most important time that you need to do your own research and lock into this space. Anyway, this chart is strictly for those who still believe in the 4-year cycle theory, because since the beginning, Bitcoin has moved up, down, and back up over a 4-year period. Excuse me, not back up, then that would be the next cycle. So you're looking at closer to like 6 years for that, actually, because it would be a cycle and a half, but don't worry about that. All right, what I wanted to look at next in our stream is something that I've also been concerned about recently over the last week or two. As you know, we were in some altcoin longs on Blowfin. So if you would like to support the channel and you are a trader or altcoin investor, please consider using our link to Blowfin. They got a lot of good deals going on right now and reward programs, and it helps benefit the channel. Link in the description. But we have turned a little bit bearish in the short term on the market, and I'm going to talk about that in just a minute. But I wanted you to look at the altcoin season index, right? And the altcoin season index is a metric that takes the top altcoins, and once 75% of those top altcoins are outperforming Bitcoin, then we consider that altcoin season. And right now we are sitting at 77, 76. on the altcoin season index. Now, once we are above 75, we are technically in altcoin season. So don't let anybody tell you differently. Right now, we are in altcoin season. Now, this is where I get concerned. If you look back at the chart over the last 90 days, we've gone up into altcoin season. We touched it here, almost here. We went above it here. But the last time we were above altcoin season, it was only for approximately 1 month. And right now, we have been above the 75 level from September 6th to today, September 20th. So we're looking at about 14 days. So I am thinking that over the next 1 to 3 weeks, maybe even sooner, we are going to experience a correction. Now, of course, I am not a fortune teller. I am just some dad sitting in the den, hoping the kids don't bother me during the live stream. But enough of the jokes. The point is that we are 2 weeks above in altcoin season. And I don't think we're technically in the real altcoin season yet. I do believe we will correct. So I am preparing for that. And that does not mean that I'm selling out of my positions. I have instituted a Bitcoin short that I told my free Telegram group. So if you want those moves, please consider joining our free Telegram group before it becomes gated. And also, this is the time that if a correction occurs, we need to be looking at what coins we want to put our hard-earned money into and where our conviction lies. And it's good to know that going into the correction, not while it's happening. The emotions get too strong. You will not make the best decisions. And it's always better to have a plan. Now, if you take a look at all the different altcoins, you can see, look at this. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. And we're going to talk about Aster in this stream. I wish I would have picked this up 48 hours ago. It has pumped crazy. And we're going to have a discussion of Aster and also Avantis to show which altcoin is going to end up being the competitor of Hyperliquid, but with both plays, one from Coinbase, one from Binance, I am thinking that I'm probably going to allocate into those two and not so much into Hyperliquid, because I think in the near term, those two will outperform even Hyperliquid. Now, they have pumped a lot, so there could be a correction. So I already have a Avantis position, but not an Aster position at this point. I'm just looking, and I'm looking for a good entry. Although I missed a good entry a couple days ago. I hope some of you were able to latch on to that one and are sitting on some nice and some hefty profits, right? Now, next, what I would really, truly like to do is take a look at some of the charts. Oh my gosh, before we do that, I just got to scan down this. So let's look at this. All Bitcoin is way down here at the list, 16% up over the last 90 days, where every single coin you see in this list is performing better than Bitcoin right now. I got a feeling that Bitcoin is going to take some of these profits back, and that a lot of these traders are going to probably be consolidating either back into Bitcoin or back into stables, but we can talk about that in just a minute. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Bitcoin chart today. Just for a recap, before the last right before the last live stream, we took a lot of Bitcoin profits on our leverage position at 114K, right? This was a long that we were running that we took all the way down in the, gosh, I can't even remember now, 112K region. We rode a small position of that up all the way to 118. And that original position had a stop loss set at 113.2. Now, I didn't want to get into all the details of how we looked into that, but what I do want to say is when we got up to the top of the range around 116, 117, we were able to enter a Bitcoin short on Blowfin, which I did share with my private my Telegram group, and also my private community on the website. Consider joining, of course. But this trade that we are in right now is sitting in profit. And it's going to be my hedge as we have this possible correction. So before I go on to anything else, I want to take a look at Bitcoin's chart. If you go in here, hold on one second. And I got the indicators I want. We touched into the bottom of the bull market support band 3 weeks ago. And since then, we have been on a rampage, increasing the price from about 107. I did not hit the bottom of this range all the way to, let's see, 117.5. So this trade was actually spot on for us. Now, of course, you can't win them all. I've had some bad stinkers too over the last few months, and I'm sure many of you out there have also. Now, what we are looking at now is quite possibly how far could Bitcoin correct. So we're going to take a look, and I want to bring up a clean chart. And what I want to look at is the hold on. Let's do the Coinbase. Yeah, perfect. We're going to use this one. And nope, this one is not as clean as I thought. We'll use Kraken. This one shouldn't be too bad, I hope. Now, I don't have all the support and resistance on this one that I'd drawn because, well, I hadn't used this chart in a little bit. But what I want to do is we are going to put in the retracement, right? And right now, watch this. Okay, so the first couple of prices that I'm looking at are, well, obviously this 0.38 level, which is sitting at 113.5, right? Here, let's mark it. And I'm checking out this one that's at about 110, which was kind of right where a little above this is where we were able to enter that short position. And what's so interesting is that the retracement could easily get all the way back down to the bottom of the range, which was 107.1K. And if we lose this, right, let's turn this one off. If we lose this, we could actually revisit a little bit lower, which in my opinion would be right around here where we kind of skyrocketed up. And let's go down to the daily chart so I can get a little more confluence here, but it's right about here. Okay. And you'll see that's sitting right at like 110, 111. But if we break that, I mean, next, my best guess is going to be this area of support and resistance where we've tapped into a lot here, which is right around 105. Let's mark that 105.6. And then of course, if you look at this anymore, we could also go back down into this 101, 100 range. This is kind of the bottom of what I'm looking at, which is 98,000. I'm going to be very scared if we break below 100K, but as long as we stay above 101, 102, hopefully we don't even go below 105K. It's gravy. I think anything in this area is going to be an excellent accumulation zone. And I do believe we will go back to all-time highs. I just think we're going to have to wait a little bit before that happens. Now, the next chart I wanted to take a look at today is the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. Now, I talk about this chart so much on my channel, right? Because as soon as we tapped into the lower or below the bull market support band and regain the bull market support band, then regain the top part of the bull market support band, Ethereum just exploded. It's been awesome. And I wish I would have looked into this chart just a little bit more, because honestly, I think that we are going to get up to much higher levels, 0.04, 0.05. I'm watching the 0.077 and 0.061 levels on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart. And right now, if you take a look, we're having a, let's go on the weekly actually. On the weekly, we just had a stochastic RSI cross down, as you can see right here. And after we had the cross down, we've been in a downtrend. We did take a short. We reversed to a long. That one didn't work very well for us. I'm still in that trade, but it's getting pretty close to being invalidated. And I actually think that Bitcoin ETH could end up going back into this range below 0.032, but we're just going to have to wait and see. At minimum, I think we're going to touch into this trend line that had been going on for so long. And remember, if you have not watched the channel, the Ethereum Bitcoin chart is one of the best charts to be watching, because when this chart's going up, that means Ethereum and altcoins are performing better than Bitcoin. And when the chart's going down, it means, well, Bitcoin is performing better than altcoins and Ethereum. So talking about this, let's take a quick look at Ethereum. Now, taking a look at the Ethereum chart, looks pretty. Well, there goes all my support and resistance lines. It's crazy. Let's go down to the daily. So I don't need this one. I don't know why this line's here. There you go. All right. All right. So, of course, I have 4,000 marked. We could possibly revisit and down here. If you look on the daily, we have broken below the $4,500 level, which very much is a zone of confluence. Or not confluence, excuse me, a zone of support and resistance. What we're going to do is going to mark this part of the chart real quick, just because I believe that this is something we need to pay attention to with Ethereum. If we're breaking below this zone, if we break below this zone, I'm going to start getting a little worried. So I'm going to mark that on my chart right there. And then, of course, as long as we stay above 4,000, I'm feeling pretty good. But if we break below 4,000, I see something around 3,900, 37, and as low as, let's see, what's this, 3,478, which is all the way back at the bull market support band. So this, to me, a drop way down to here is probably a worst case scenario, but as long as we bounce off the bull market support band, I'm still bullish on ETH. And to be honest, I'm going to be stacking a lot more ETH and altcoins than I will be Bitcoin in this next little bit. I pretty much have established my Bitcoin position other than what I dollar cost average, usually on a weekly basis. And I tend to do most of that with Kraken. I used to with Coinbase, and a little bit on crypto.com. If you need a centralized exchange, please consider using our links in the description. It helps support the channel. And those are the American exchanges that I use. Now, Coinbase, I have not been using as much. Now, I still keep it open. I use the card. I onboard fiat through it. But after the data breach and some of the stuff, I have been a little concerned about some of their business practices. But that is a discussion for another day. Now, what I would like to do next is go into a discussion of some other things, right? So we've been talking about Bitcoin and ETH. I also want to talk about Bitcoin dominance. So Bitcoin dominance is the one we want to see in a massive downtrend. When this one is bleeding down like it has been on the daily, right? That means altcoins or Ethereum are taking on more dominance than Bitcoin. Over the last little bit, what's awesome about this, we have had on the daily a blue cross up. On the weekly, we are Yeah, Blue Cross up on the weekly too. So I think there's a possibility you're going to start to see this correct. It's hitting down 57.35%. We have touched into it, and I could see us going back up close to 60%. When that happens, altcoins are going to suffer. So we have been rotating some lending positions to go slightly short, and that's why we took on the Bitcoin short on Blowfin. We'll look at that towards the end of the stream. But Bitcoin dominance, you definitely need to watch this. The first cycle I was in, and really into this cycle, I didn't follow it as well as I should. And I lost my ass and it was handed to me. I should have listened to all the analysts out there screaming to pay attention to Bitcoin dominance. So I'm hoping that if you hear that from me, you can make better decisions when you're at that point. Okay. Now, the next thing I wanted to take a look at is, let me find it, USDT dominance, which is way, way, way over here. Nope. There we go. Now, this is an article that we wrote about on Dad's DeFi space, and kind of a mini masterclass article on how the USDT dominance chart is something that smart altcoin and crypto investors are going to look at, right? This is probably one of the most important charts, along with Bitcoin dominance and the Ethereum Bitcoin chart, that altcoin investors should be following on a regular basis. The USDT dominance chart actually, when USDT dominance is up, it means people have rolled back into stablecoins, and they are not being degens right now at all. And when this chart is at low, like it is down here, it's big time to be obviously more bullish on altcoins, right? This is people taking profits as it's going back up, right? So USDT dominance actually measures how much of the total crypto market cap is being held within Tether. Okay. Now we know there's more stable coins, but Tether is the largest stable coin in this space. And it's usually a sign as it's going up, as the dominance of stables going up, that is a sign of safety. Now, this is obviously the stable coins that are already within the market. So when this metric falls, USDT dominance, when it falls, it's a signal that capital is getting restless. It's starting to rotate into higher risk plays like altcoins, new projects, meme coins, degen LPs, and other forms of speculation in this space. That is when the upside starts to begin, right? So you really need to pay attention to support and resistance zones of, USDT dominance. And it can very much be a indicator of soon to be momentum in the market. So what is a real world example of USDT dominance? Well, here's what's interesting. Recently, over the last few weeks, USDT dominance was nearing 3.7%, right? This was also on the chart forming a descending triangle. I was hoping I had a chart down here to show you, but I don't. I'll have to pull it up. But here's the thing. Analysts would signal that as capital leaving stable coins, but let's take a look at the chart, and I want to show you this real quick, okay? We're looking at USDT dominance, right? And if we look at this on a smaller time frame, let's go down to the daily, right? We have kind of a support right here around 4.24%, right? Remember, when this is going up, right, prices of altcoins are tending to go down. And it looks like we may be taking a bounce, right, off this trend line. Pretty crazy, right? You can also see down here our stochastic RSI on the daily cross the blue cross. And then right here on the weekly, now we still have a blue cross down. So obviously we're going to need to wait and see how it plays out. But if you see us get back above the bull market support band here, which is sitting, it moves on the daily, but like 4.5%, then I could be a little nervous that a lot of capital is starting to rotate back to USDT, and this could be the predecessor to the correction that I was talking about earlier. It's hard to say at this point, but it is something that I personally am going to be keeping an eye on. But I hope that gave you some information of an important chart that you can keep an eye on if you're interested in investing in altcoins. A lot of people just want to throw out like, hey, buy this coin, buy that coin go up, make some profits, diamond hands this. It just, you're not going to be very successful in this place playing that kind of game. So let's take a look now at our next part of the stream. And I want to talk a little bit about ETH beta plays, okay? So what's interesting about the Ethereum beta plays in the market, and I've talked about this again and again. I put this on the last stream. I just want to bring it up one more time because I think that if we get this correction, the coins that are going to explode the most in the market are going to be your Ethereum beta plays, right? Here we go. And this is, again, back at Dad's DeFi Space. I have an excellent article. Once it loads, I will throw it in the chat. And it has the video that's posted on YouTube, but it also has, hold on one second, but it also has a full-on deep dive article on the ETH beta plays that I'm personally most bullish on. I'm not investing in all of them, but you'll get the idea when you see the article. Now, the Ethereum beta plays is a quite simple thing to understand. If there is a correction, Ethereum will correct. The beta plays will correct more than ETH because they are, well, riskier and usually smaller market cap. And these Ethereum beta coins are usually the ones that pump the most after the correction. So once this correction starts to happen, which I do think is coming, then these Ethereum beta altcoins, it's going to be an excellent time to accumulate. So let's take a look. First one I talked about last week was Chainlink because it's an Oracle network. It gets used all over the place for RWAs, for DEXs, for lending platforms. They have to have access to real life data on chain. So I'm definitely bullish on Chainlink. You have Arbitrum Layer 2 network. Now, this isn't one in my bag, but if you want a safe play, Arbitrum is still locking a good amount of liquidity. A lot of yield farming going on this platform. They also have the Orbit roll-up, and they're creating more interoperability with their chain. So this is the one I have. I am farming a wrap Bitcoin ETH leverage position on Revert Finance on Arbitrum, but I do not hold any of the token. Now, this is one you obviously know I own a lot of. I'm very biased and very bullish on Aerodrome. It is a DEX and Yield one governance token for the Aerodrome DEX, the largest DEX on the base layer 2. Yes, it's associated with Coinbase, but they have integrated Aerodrome in with the Coinbase app. And now that they have the community launches, which we'll talk a little bit more later, I'm extremely bullish on Aerodrome and what they are doing, and we'll be talking more about them. Please go back and check out our Aerodrome price prediction video, and I can put that in the description once the stream has concluded. Pendle Finance is another one. Yield as an asset, you're trading yield bearing, or they remove the yield from the token, and you're actually trading the yield through PTs and YT tokens. You know, we have been trading a little bit on Pendle, mostly for fixed yield, but a little bit of airdrop farming also with Yield Optimizer and some other tokens. And then finally, I had to throw in at least one meme coin, but if we're talking Ethereum beta plays, that has to be Pepe. Pepe is a meme coin on Ethereum, one of the highest, strongest memes. It's a cultural icon. And when ETH pumps, when the retail comes back, retail knows Pepe, retail knows Dodge, retail knows Bonk on Solana. A lot of the other ones are going to fade, right? And there'll be new ones that pop up. And to be honest, I'm moving more into utility. And then, of course, if you watch the full video, I'll go ahead and tell you we have a sleeper pick, and that is Plume, which is an institutional RWA play. Oops, that is much smaller than Ondo Finance, but it could be the dark horse of the RWAs. So I am stacking it once up. It had a huge run. We have not sold any yet, but we will be selling a lot of this in a few months once we enter into the last cycle. And I'll just leave this on the screen because liquidity flows are so important, especially if you're going to do something in this space, like invest in risky altcoins, right? So take a screenshot. Bitcoin pumps, ETH follows, Ethereum beta, altcoins will come next. Of course, then all your other layer ones along around the same time, and then it starts getting riskier and riskier and riskier with memes and DEX tokens and small caps and micro caps, and there you go. And then a ton of you all out there, I hate to say it, are probably going to lose, because that's what happens to many people. They let their emotions take over and then they lose. So enough about Ethereum beta plays, but please, before we move on, drop your thoughts in the chat. What are you going to do if USDT dominance increases? What are you going to do if it falls? What are some of your favorite altcoins? And before we go any farther, I wanted to take a look at some altcoin charts before we go into the news today. This is going to be a long one. So the first chart I wanted to take a look at is Sol. We're going to do this almost marathon style. Once it loads up, you can see my first profit taken zone on Solana, but I did rotate a little bit when we were up at $240 to $248. I switched some of my lending position to Solana, because I actually think the price of Solana is going to drop, and I'm going to take a little bit money off my lending position based off of the spread. That is a bearish DeFi strategy that I'm probably going to be making a video about in the near future, because we are rounding to the end of the cycle where bearish strategies and delta neutral strategies are going to become more into play. But if you take a look, Solana has popped over the last 2 weeks, a minimum of, around 23 to 25%. We are heavily above the bull market support band. And what do you see? We hit below it. We shoot up above it. So Solana looking super bullish right now. But what I'm seeing is almost like a lower low. If you use, now if I go down to the daily, it's a high. It almost looks like a higher high. That's crazy. But we didn't hit this one. So technically on the weekly, this would be a lower low. So we could correct. I'm keeping an eye on 230, the 215 to 212 region. And then, of course, way, way down, we got 200 right here. I probably need to mark that one too. And then 181. These are just some levels that I'm keeping an eye on as I think this possible correction is going to go, because I will add to some of my positions when this starts happening, right? Something to think about. Oh, right. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. The children have been messing with my computer, and I have lost my power switch. So hold on 1 second. You don't want this to die. Why the stream is. All right.